Welcome to the Mindful Makeover Podcast. My name is StephanieRobilio, and I'm your host. I am also a licensed clinical social worker, personal development author, life coach, and public speaker. I am committed to bringing you insightful conversations that will help you move forward in your life, turn your dreams into reality, feel good, and live your life on purpose with purpose. If you're ready for healing, empowerment, and transformation, you're in the right place, so let's do this. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Mindful Makeover Podcast. It's so good to be back, and it's so good to be sitting here today recording this episode. I hope you all had a wonderful summer. Here we are in fall, which is absolutely mind-blowing to me. I say it all the time, but it's true. Every year goes quicker and quicker and quicker. I'm not really sure why or what's going on, but it's definitely zooming by. I haven't had a chance to record an episode since April, which is wild, especially because if you've listened to my previous episodes, you probably have heard me say that I'm going to do my best to record at least once or twice a month. But hey, things happen. I'm human, and the months somehow just zip by. And before I know it, I go, crap, I haven't recorded an episode. So anyways, I'm here today and I'm happy to be here. As the year quickly comes to an end, I feel led to talk about doing what's best for you and learning how to trust yourself and your ability to make decisions and move forward to what it is that you most want or need. Too often, time passes by, and the majority of people are putting their wants and their needs, even their goals and dreams, on the back burner. Whether it be because they struggle to create time for the things that they want, or perhaps it's because they struggle with making decisions and waiting for, quote unquote, the right time, or even waiting to feel ready. Here's the thing. It has taken me years to learn this and a lot of lessons along the way, a lot of wasted time and energy. But the truth is, ready isn't a feeling, it's a decision. I'm going to say that again because it's really important. Ready isn't a feeling, it's a decision. In other words, the longer you sit around waiting to feel ready, you will continue to rob yourself of the greatest gift we've ever been given, which is time. And as quick as time comes is as quick as it goes, right? So if you constantly sit around waiting to feel ready, the truth is, I don't know that you ever will feel ready. Sure, are there moments where we can feel an alignment, and in those moments we feel empowered, or we feel confident, or we feel good, and that kind of gives us that pat on the back to finally move forward or make that decision? Yes, absolutely. But for most of us, if we're honest with each other, we don't always feel in alignment, right? It's a lot of times it takes a lot of work and a lot of intentional movement to stay in a place of alignment. So if we're only making decisions when we're in that space, we're going to miss out on a lot of opportunity because we're not always going to be in alignment. So it's more about getting connected to the reality that it's about your courage to just make the decision despite feeling ready, or despite feeling in alignment, or thinking you're ready, or thinking you're in alignment. So what happens is once time goes by, we all know we can never get it back, at least not in this lifetime. And we've all been so conditioned to believe that it's selfish to take care of ourselves first. We've been conditioned to believe that the harder you work, the better you are. And that if you're constantly working, you're doing what you're supposed to do. We've been conditioned to believe that being an overachiever and a perfectionist is something like being a hero. And it's not. And I'm saying this because I admit I am a hardcore recovering perfectionist and overachiever, so much so that it has once upon a time crippled me in my life because I was striving to be perfect. I was striving to be this overachiever, and it's not attainable. So, I share all this because it's important that we become aware of not only who we are, but what we are, and what are the patterns in our lives that are showing up and that are keeping us from putting ourselves first and taking care of ourselves. I'm not saying it's a problem to strive for excellence. In fact, it's good to strive for excellence and to always give your best. But what matters is that you don't stay in a place of thinking that you have to be a certain way and you have to do things a certain way, because falling into that trap will keep you in exactly that, a trap. right? So is it okay to want excellence? Yes. Is it okay to always show up and give your best? Yes. But it's also really important that you know on the times that you fall off your path, or let's say you have a day where your 100% is only 60%, that's okay. You're a human. You're not expected to be a certain way all the time. You're allowed to change. That's part of what it means to be a human. It's part of our experience as a human. So what I really want to highlight is the importance of not getting consumed by your day-to-day routines and responsibilities to where you actually miss out on doing the things that bring you joy. And I know that's really hard to say because let's be real, every single one of us, for the most part, we are in a routine. We are loaded with tons of responsibilities. And for some of us, it's our routines that are actually keeping us well, that are actually keeping us stable or keeping us accountable. So I'm not saying go get rid of all your responsibilities and routines, but what I am saying is don't be so consumed by what's on your plate. Make the time and be deliberate or intentional with creating space, even if it's 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, to pour into your own cup, right? What happens is we live in a world where we are all moving very, very fast. Most of us are going through life with our heads down. We're constantly on our phone. We're jumping from one task to the next task. I'm guilty of that. I'm still working on this practice every single day. But what happens is we have normalized stress so much so that it's considered abnormal to feel good. I don't know about you guys, but now I'm at a point in my life where feeling good is very, very, very high on my top priorities. It's important to me that I feel good. It's important to me that I'm healthy, that I'm well in my mind and my body and my spirit. But I've actually had people say to me, wow, you're always smiling. You always look happy. Or do you always feel this good? And that question kind of throws me off. And if I'm honest with you guys, sometimes it makes me feel like I have to kind of, not dumb down, that's not the right way to say it, but it kind of makes me feel like I have to dim my light, or like I have to pretend that I'm not feeling good. And that's really sad. Do I always feel good? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, in order for me to feel good, I have to do my day-to-day practices, because the truth is, I don't naturally just feel good. I've put a lot of effort and work and consistency into getting to this place where I do feel better, where I do feel good. So it's just interesting that, because of the world we're living in today, most people are driven by stress. They're living in a constant state of stress. So people look at the people who are feeling good and healthy and happy, like, what the heck's wrong with you? And that's sad. If you're connected with me, you often hear me talk about how it's our birthright to feel good. It's our birthright to live a life of joy. It doesn't mean we're going to be in a constant state of joy, but there is nothing normal about being unhealthy, being stressed, and not being able to do the things that bring you joy. In fact, I think that goes against the whole meaning and purpose of our existence here on this beautiful planet. We're meant to enjoy. We're meant to enjoy this incredible creation that we have right before our eyes. So, I'm saying that it's not normal to be stressed every day, and it's not necessary to be stressed every day. But in order to become less stressed or even prevent it, it's absolutely crucial that you learn how to put yourself first and make time for you. And I say the word learn because it is something we have to learn. We've never learned how to put ourselves first, right? Most of us, we've watched generation after generation run around kind of like a chicken with their head cut off, because that's just, we've been created to survive. So most people have been living in a state of survival, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what happens is it can lead to problems, and it's up to us as an individual to learn how to move out of survival mode, understanding there's nothing to survive, right? We live in a day and age where there's resources all around us. Information is at our fingertips that we can choose to know better now. We can choose to know better now. And once you know better, you can do better. But it's up to us to do that. So the point is, find what works for you and stick to it. This is really important no matter who you are. Consistency is key, and it's important to not compare yourself to what others are doing. I think a lot of times people end up comparing because, let's be real, we are human and we all compare. It's natural, it happens. But what happens, at least I know this used to happen to me, and sometimes it still does, is when we compare what others are doing for themselves, it tends to make it really easy to fall into the thinking of, well, I don't have time to do it the way she is or the way they are or the way he is. So I'm just not going to do anything at all. And this becomes really problematic. I'm sure you could see how. Because if you're not doing anything at all, then by default, you end up neglecting yourself. I used to do this all the time. In fact, just a couple weekends ago, my husband and I were talking, and I said to him, as of recently, I've been finding myself comparing what others are doing, especially when I'm on social media, and I have to be really mindful about my time on social media. In other words, it's so easy to get, go down the rabbit hole and jumping from, this, what they call influencers page to the next one. And sometimes when I see what other people are doing in their life, especially as it relates to what they're doing for themselves, the people who have time to go to yoga for an hour every day, and then they're meditating and they're sitting in the sauna and, they're journaling and they're this and they're that. It makes me feel like I'm not doing enough. And for me personally, that leaves me feeling really discouraged. And then because of that, it has actually kept me from doing anything at all. It kind of puts me in a funk, and then I don't show up for myself. And that's honestly ridiculous, but it happens. It happens to all of us. So the point is, stay focused on yourself and keep your wants, your needs, your goals, your dreams a priority. Keep it a priority. There's no such thing as too big, too small, too much, not enough. This is our life and we get to live it the way we want to. But most people aren't living. They're merely existing, stuck in what I call the hamster wheel, where every day is the same exact experience, driven by stress and other unpleasant emotions, and nothing changes and there's no forward motion. And there's a number of reasons people get stuck, whether it be self-doubt, low self-esteem, lack of support, right? Maybe you're a single parent, or maybe you're a person where you've been isolated from your family for a long time. Maybe you just moved to a new state. Sometimes it's financial hardship that gets in the way. Other times it can be crippling guilt and shame that just keeps people stuck in the same patterns. Other times it's unresolved trauma, poor mental health, perhaps a person still in their addiction, low confidence, or maybe even self-limiting beliefs such as I'm not good enough, or everything is hard, or I'll always be an addict, or nobody's there for me. Whatever the story is for you, the list of reasons people get stuck goes on and on and on. So I really encourage all of you to create space to allow yourself a simple check-in, a moment to reflect. Ask yourself these questions. Do you feel the way you want to feel? Are you doing the things you want to do? Do you feel supported in your life? Are you struggling? And if so, with what? What are you struggling with? What can you do differently to begin making yourself a priority? How can you show up for yourself more? I'll actually put these questions in the show notes. So if you feel led, take the time to really answer these questions, because the truth is, the only way we can become better and create space for ourselves is by first identifying what's getting in the way of you creating space for yourself. Is it your thinking, your mindset? Is it the fact that you're living in a chaotic, unhealthy environment? Or maybe you're living in a halfway house still and you have roommates and there's a lot of commotion going on and you find it hard to kind of delegate some quiet time for yourself. Or maybe you're a person who's working, the night shift in your job. And so come the day, you're sleeping, and then when you wake up, you have zero energy to make time for yourself. What is getting in the way? That's really, really important. So again, I'll put these questions in the show notes, and I really encourage you to take some time to answer them. I want to highlight another point, that consistency is key. It's better to move your body or exercise for 10 or 20 minutes a day than it is to only exercise once a week or every other week for an hour, right? It's better to meditate for 5 minutes a day than it is to not at all, or to only meditate, once a month for 45 minutes. If you're listening to this episode and you happen to be a client or anyone who has contact with me, friends, family, coworker, whoever, you've probably have heard me say that I strongly believe doing one thing every day for your mind, your body, and your spirit will take you very far in your life for many reasons. For one, when you take care of yourself, you start to feel better. You start to feel better. And in time, better becomes great. And once you feel great, you start really showing up for yourself in ways you probably never thought you could. For two, it helps build your confidence. It helps build your trust in yourself, a better belief in yourself, because you're taking care of yourself. But beyond that, there's something to be said that when you tell yourself, hey, today I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes today. And then when you lay your head down at night and you get to say, wow, I actually did that thing I said I was going to do, that feels really good. That kind of stuff boost our confidence and our self-esteem and our trust, because we're actually demonstrating to ourselves that we can do the things we say we're going to do, as opposed to waking up and saying, hey, today I'm going to go to the gym for an hour, then I'm going to meditate for 45 minutes. That might not be realistic. And then when you don't do it, you're not going to feel good about yourself. So I don't know about you guys, but there was definitely a time in my life where I wasn't consistent and I would set these super high, unrealistic goals for myself. And when I didn't meet the goal, it made me feel pretty poorly about myself, which is why now I am committed to doing one small thing every day for my mind, my body, and my spirit. Something that is realistic and attainable. Some ideas for this, if you're interested in kind of adopting this practice, it can be anything from exercise, yoga, meditating, journaling, making a gratitude list, saying a few affirmations in the morning or before bed, painting, reading, coloring, swimming. If you have a trampoline or kids, go outside and just embrace your inner child. Be a kid with them for a few moments. Take a walk on the beach or spend time in nature. Ride your bike. Call a friend or a family member who makes you feel happy. You could attend support groups, maybe pick up a new hobby. Cook or bake if you're into that, which, by the way, I'm not at all. However, I do hear for some it's quite therapeutic to be in the kitchen. So, hey, if that's you, then go for it. It really doesn't matter what it is that you do, but what matters is that you actually do it. And sometimes remember, doing nothing is doing something. Doing nothing is doing something. So whatever it is that you feel will best serve you, do that and stick to it. Remember earlier I said, ready isn't a feeling, it's a decision. So I hope after listening to this episode, you feel empowered to make the decision to take care of you, to put yourself first. Finish this year on a positive note, remembering whatever has happened up until now, this very moment, is no longer happening. We only have now, and each and every one of you deserve to feel your best, but it starts with you. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress, and it's not about being extreme. It's about being consistent. So here's to finding what works for you and sticking to it. I love you all so much. Until the next time. If you found today's episode to be insightful and inspiring, subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. And I kindly ask that you please leave me a review so together we can help the next person. To learn more about my products and services, check out www.themindfulliving.com and come connect with me on Instagram at mindfulliving.now, where I share daily inspiration, mindful skills, tips, and more. Until the next episode, stay mindful and always remember the power that lives inside of you.